the Center for Spiritual Living in Los Angeles, and I'll start the morning with this beautiful song. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grips you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and notice why. It's not a question, it's a lesson learning time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on the shelf in good health and good times. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. What it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had a time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Thank you, Yaron, and good morning to you. How are you? We just had
Good morning.
good. It's good to see you. Thank you for singing that beautiful song for us. Do just 1 second, please.
My pleasure.
So yes, thank you. It was a beautiful song, and I recall that song from the show Friends, I believe, correct? Or was it Seinfeld at the end? But anyway, thank you
Yeah.
so much for singing that song for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Yaron Spiwak, our music director here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. It is my pleasure to say good morning to you this morning. Good morning to you this morning as we come together live through Zoom and Facebook to have our weekly Sunday celebration service as we come together to honor the power and the presence of all that exists by means of you and by means of me. And so I'm going to invite you right now to make sure to turn off your cameras and keep those turned off so we don't have people popping in and out while we're live on Facebook. And we'll just let it go with that. So make sure you do that. I'll invite you at the end of the service to turn your cameras on after we disconnect from Facebook if we'd all like to see each other and hang out. But good morning to everyone. What a very interesting week it's been for us as a community, the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and I'll speak more about that as we move into the service. So I'm really excited about who we have for us this morning as a guest speaker and also who we have as a guest musician. And so I'll introduce those to you in just 1 second. But before we do that, I'd like for us to once again remind everyone to take their cameras turned off. Well, let's do the hellos now. So, Andy, are you there? Can we bring you on? Andy Belling. Our guest musician for the day is Andy Belling, and many of us are familiar with Andy. Hi, Andy. There he comes. Well, I thought he was coming. No, that's someone else. So that's not Andy Belling. That's Susan Goodman. So anyway, I'm inviting Andy to come on and say hello to us at the top of the hour as we had discussed. So Andy, you're coming to say hello, as well as we have an amazing guest speaker for us this morning, a dear friend of mine from years back. Her name is Christie Hardwick, and she's here to share her wisdom with us this morning. There's Christie. Hi, Christie.
Hello.
Hello, we're so excited to have you here with us this morning at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, coming from Florida. I know that's where you're at right now, before
Yes.
you and your wife, Jane, take off on a road trip across the land of the USA, correct?
Yes.
So thank you for being here. I look forward to inviting you back to give us your message later in the service. I know everyone is here and happy to hear your wisdom and to see your beauty and be in your radiance through this technological magic that we have called Zoom and Facebook. So I'll invite you back
Thank
on
you.
shortly. So looking forward to that. There's Andy Belling. Hi, Andy Belling. Say a big hello to our
Hello,
CSL-LA community.
Hi there.
So we're happy to have you with us, Andy. You've been being requested by our community that loves you so dearly. And so I'm happy to know that you're back with us today to share some of your talent and your gifts as a musician. So thanks for being here, and I'll invite you back on after the morning ritual to give your first song.
Great.
All right, so we'll see you in a bit. So we shall begin our service this morning as we well, prior to that, I know I sound like I'm a little flustered, right? Things are going a little bit weird right now for some reason. So, but prior to getting into that, I'd like to share with you who we are as a community. And I will get to that as I'm moving around on all of these little keypads right here and right now. Here we go. So let's all take a deep breath in together and just anchor ourselves into the power and the presence of the divine. And I welcome each of you to come with us together on this journey today of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. That indeed is our vision statement. And what we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, is primarily the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes, where there's only one thing that exists in life. It's the power and the presence of the divine. It's an all-inclusive, omniscient, omnipresent power. Matters not what we call it God, but what we know clearly is that because we're all one with it, and we both process and experience and express the power through our mind, that you and I become more and more in tune with that power and experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And we become conscious of it in the way that we act, react, interact, and respond to it as the power within us in life. So what we practice is tending to our thinking, tending to our beliefs, tending to how we show up in life, and tending to how we treat others. It's by knowing that we are indeed the qualities of the divine, which are peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. And from this place, you and I have the opportunity to become more and more fulfilled as a being of the divine. And then to put into play the vision statement for our community, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today I invite you to not only hear that statement anew, but to ask yourself, how can you become more self-empowered as you experience and express your divinity? We opened each and every Sunday morning with a morning ritual. As I said earlier, it's been an interesting week for us here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, in that we lost one of our beloved members who made a transition to the next plane of action. Last week, I spoke of that was in process and unfolding. And I spent a great deal of time with him this week as that was indeed taking place. I shared with you in the bereavement notice that I sent out that during that time, or one of those times, I was with Dr. Neil. His beloved niece and I were side by side with him on his bedside, and we sang many songs with him that he was familiar with, and one that he just reveled in, not only hearing, but participating to the best of his ability, was Calling in the Light. And so today we're going to use that ritual that we have for many Sundays, as our community has been around, as a guide for our centering and anchoring ourselves into who and what we know ourselves to be as spiritual beings. I invite you to not only hear this ritual, but to bring into your mind's eye, if you know Dr. Neil or knew him, his face, his energy, the way that he used to love to sit in the back and raise his hands at the end of the singing of our song. And so the ritual this morning and that we begin with of calling in the light is this. Today we perform the ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. As we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life. That includes you, and it includes me. The quality of the divine we use today in our ritual is peace. Let's use this acronym for the word peace during this ritual to create an opportunity for each of us to embrace our light in a more expansive way today. So as we light this candle and feel the vibrational energy from it, we begin with the letter P, which stands for purposeful, which is defined as having or showing determination or resolve. May we each live our spiritual awakening with resolve, and may we each play a role in the co-creation of our lives through our mental and emotional actions. Moving to E, we light the candle for the letter E, standing for energy. In the book, The Science of Mind, Dr. Holmes defines energy as a divine and unfailing attribute, and consequently, there is never any lack of it. So today, may we each commit to using our energy in productive and life-enhancing ways. We move to the letter A, and this candle is illuminated for the word activation, which is defined as the action or process of making something active or operative. Today, may we each consciously make active our thoughts, actions, reactions, and interactions in and as life, reflecting the innate peace within all beings. And as we move to the letter C, it stands for conscious. Synonyms for the word conscious are awake, aware, alert, responsive, and sentient. In this moment, may we each tune into our ability to be aware and commit to living our life, awake and alert to our ability to impact the world and consciously invoke peace with each thought and action. The final letter, E, is for the word evolution. Dr. Holmes defines evolution as the passing of spirit into form, Traditionally, it is defined as a process of gradual, peaceful, progressive change or development. And so today, I affirm for all, as a result of our finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, that progressive changes and development is manifesting in and as spirit becomes form. Peace, purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. Purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. And we now move to using the same candle and referring to it as the healing candle. And I ask that you take a moment and think of anyone that you would like to silently put into the light of the healing flame to experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. As Yaron takes us through the song, Calling in the Light, and I invite you to sing along in the privacy of your own home.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light, oh love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light, oh love. He is love, near his peace in my heart. I am free, I am spirit, I am soul, all together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
And so it is. And so we move into a spiritual mind treatment, an affirmative prayer, a declaration of spiritual truth, feeling the resonance field of transformation that has unfolded during this ritual. I declare and affirm for each one of us that now is the time and this is the moment that we purposefully use our energy in a way to activate conscious evolution for ourselves and all of humanity. During this week, we have lost lives on this planet, specifically some that we know. But I invite us all in this very moment to bring the energy of light that exists within each and every sentient being, whether on this planet or beyond, and to anchor it into our soul. And then use the energy of this light to transform and to dissipate and dissolve any feelings of less than or lack or unworthiness. And allow that energy to be the fire, the source of transformation and transmutation that not only dissolves that which isn't serving us, but is the catalyst and the impetus for a new idea to come into our consciousness in regard to light and life. And we use it from this moment forward to indeed invoke conscious evolution on this planet. And so we let the words and the music and the exchange that transpires during the service today be points of light that are guides for us on this journey as we find our personal self-empowerment and open ourselves to a spiritual awakening, to be restored, renewed, recommitted to living life from a higher plane of action. Today is the day. And we let it be as we say together. And so it is. Thank you, Yaron, and thank you, Dr. Neil, and all who have participated in the transformation that is unfolding. I'd like to bring on to our Zoom right now Andy Belling, who is going to sing his first song for us. And we're so happy to have you with us today singing. For many of you, or almost all of you, know Andy Belling, but if you don't, he's been a long time not only participant in our center, but a musician and a co-music director. And Andy has a long, rich history in the entertainment world. And so, Andy, today I know that you're happy to be here with us, and we're very happy to have you here with us. And so I'd like to have you introduce the first song that you're going to sing and take it away.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, Yaron, for inviting me back. It's wonderful to be here. Hello to everybody that's watching. This is a Randy Newman song. I actually went to school with Randy. I was at UCLA, the same place, and he was crazy and wonderful. And this is my favorite song of his. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, just remember what your old friend said. You've got a friend in me. Yes, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You've got your troubles, I've got them too, but there isn't anything I'd rather do for you. If we stick together, we'll see it through, because you've got a friend in me. Yes, you've got a friend in me. Some other folks might be a little bit smarter than I sing to you, but none of them will sing this song the way I do, because it's just for you. As the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny, because you've got a friend in me. Yes, you've got a friend in me.
Aww, Andy, so beautiful. Thank you. It's so great to have you back. And we know we have a friend in you, and you have a friend in us, and you're getting some claps from the audience. So good to see you back. Much love to you. So we'll have you back at the end of the message to sing your second song.
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. So the CSL-LA group. So when we sent the survey out, one of the things that you all were very clear on was that you wanted to have more guest speakers, more individuals sharing their wisdom. This morning, you could not have someone who has any greater wisdom out there than this beloved friend of mine, Reverend Christie Hardwick. She's worked for years in leadership development in high tech, for 30 years to be exact. She's been a leadership coach, having her own practice for 15 years. She has a master's degree in human resources and organizational development. She's done trainings all over the world for LGBTQ components and how people best not only serve that element of the community. She's the founder of the Inspiration Gatherings that mostly took place in Provincetown, I believe. She has been married to this most amazing woman, Jane. And as I said earlier, they're about to take off on a road trip to see their grandchildren in a camper across America. And all of that stuff is important, and it gives you some element of knowing who Reverend Christie is. But more importantly, she's my friend. And she's a beloved being of light who has raised some really spectacular beings of light on this planet. And she's wise and compassionate and articulate and fun and no BS, and brings a whole new perspective to the movement of New Thought. And I'm eternally grateful for that. So it's my dear, dear, dear pleasure to share with my CSL-LA family, another part of my family, the one and only Christie Hardwick.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it very much.
You're
and
welcome.
I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I'm imagining all your faces. I see the names in the boxes, so I know that you're here with me. And I know that there are people here with me on Facebook with CSL. So I'm really happy to be here with you. It's quite a privilege and pleasure. One of the beautiful blessings of this time is that we get to be with different people. We get to be places without having to get on a plane and get there and be with you in person, which is lovely. But I'm getting so many opportunities to meet people that I haven't met yet. So I've got new friends now. I'm really excited about that. I loved Andy's song. Andy's song was just so perfect. I think about the movie that came from, at least the one that I'm familiar with. Anybody out there? Toy Story? Yes. Yes, Buzz Lightyear was singing that, and it's a beautiful story. Right now, I'm noticing that Keith is frozen. So I don't know if that means that I'm frozen, and I hope that everything is good out there. So we begin. This morning, what I wanted to talk to you about, your time, morning, because for me it's the afternoon, is freedom. I know that this is the month of freedom. We're on that month of focusing on freedom and independence and all those things, and probably you've been hearing a lot about freedom. But it's something that we can't talk too much about. It's something that I don't know a human being on the planet that doesn't long for some level of freedom and greater levels of freedom. So we look at that. When I was in South Africa, I remember very clearly when we had the tour guide, she said something that just stunned me, and I couldn't speak for a moment and lost my breath. And she just said it casually. She said, well, the born frees are people who blah, 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 blah. And she was talking about them. I said, wait, stop, just a second. You said the born frees? She said, yeah, people who are born free. Because in my estimation then, which is now a decade ago, I couldn't imagine people not being born free. Even if I knew the history of our country and knew the history of many countries with these issues of suppressive systems where people can be born into them. But in the case of South Africa, at the time of apartheid, people were born considered free or not free, free to move and do and be and have and act as they pleased. So it woke me up at another level to not presume that everyone is having the same level of freedom that I'm experiencing at any time. And one thing I say about our teaching is that unless it's useful to the least of us in terms of the least of the circumstances, it's not very useful at all. So everything that I teach or talk about in terms of new thought is something I think my friend in Nigeria, or my friends in Cuba, or my friends anywhere on the planet can actually utilize for their lives. So let's talk about freedom. I thought about it in terms of the different levels we experience in our life. I would say first we express, and then we explore, we experiment, and ultimately we engage. And I would like to say that at some point we actually go beyond the idea of freedom. But first, we express. When we are children, and especially when we're babies, we come and we express. We express everything we're feeling. We express all of it. We express through our sound, through our movement. We move our bodies. We test out our vocal cords. We put everything in our mouth. We express life. As we grow, we continue to express, and then we're given some correction along the way. Anybody had any corrections done? Do you remember being corrected maybe the first time? Maybe around 3? Or maybe you learned no at 2? So we start out expressing our freedom, our way of being, who we are in the world. And then we explore the world, and we're free to do that if we are blessed with a life that allows it. So we explore who we're being, what we like, what we don't like. We explore what the world feels like to us. We explore outside. We explore other people. Don't you love it about children is that they will come up to a furry animal or a person and start touching and feeling. We're in that circumstance right now where not a lot of touching and feeling is happening, but we remember it. Exploring, free to explore. So we have this freedom of expression, of exploration, and we carry it out throughout our lives. We begin to explore careers and education and ideas. And we're somewhat free to do that. Again, depending on our circumstances. But our definition of freedom begins to evolve within us. We express ourselves in our gender. And we know now that more and more are able to fully express themselves. And we are so grateful for that. In the past, gender expression was contained and kept behind closed doors. And now gender expression is more free, not completely free, but more free. So we express and we explore our edges in the world, and we see what interests us. We even explore our freedoms on several levels. We explore our freedoms physically. As we are younger in body and capable and strong, we try what we're capable of doing with this body. We may try different sports. We may try different events. We may try dancing. We may try every kind of movement with the body to see what it's capable of. It's a beautiful time in life when we're exploring physically our freedom. We also explore emotionally. We say, what feels good? What feels good to me? I like doing this. I don't like doing that. I like the way I feel in the presence of this person. I like the way I feel in the presence of this idea, in this container. In my case, I remember exploring and learning about who I am from the very beginning. I started by expressing as a child. I would be a 3-year-old singing some crazy song. I don't even know where I got it from, but it was about gypsies. There were 3 gypsies that come to my door, and downstairs ran this lady, oh. And this 3-year-old singing it would just crack people up. And I would sing this whole story about the gypsies and how the one sang high, the other sang low, and I just loved it. And I loved the stopping and attention that it brought as well. So I began to know something about myself, even at that young age, that expression, that freedom. So I pursued that feeling, that feel good in the emotional side. And I went on to do theater in high school and even some performing in college. And it was an area that called me, that I was free to express in. So I experimented with that. When I was very young, I was 19 years old, I was married at 18, actually, the first time I was married. I've been busy, that's another story. I had twin children at 19 years old. So I needed to slow down my exploration and focus in and pay attention. So I went to school and I focused in and was paying attention to how to raise my children. And I started to watch and notice at an early age how they were moving through their freedom and their exploration. And I was noticing, who are they becoming as little human beings? And so we all move through this. We express, we explore, we experiment, we test out, we see what is ours to do and to have and to be at different levels, the physical, the emotional, and the mental. Then we come to our spiritual path. Some of you may have been very fortunate to have a spiritual path that began maybe really early in your life. I think we all were on a path early in our lives, but we may not have been aware of our path early in our life, unless we were in a family that had a very specific religious upbringing. I wasn't aware of my spiritual path until a little bit later. I was aware of what I didn't want. So I was able to discern and see that when I was free to choose, I didn't choose something that was constraining. I didn't choose something that was telling me how I should believe and how I should behave and what music I should like. My mother was very interested in a teaching that was so strict that we couldn't even sing certain kinds of music, because any kind of word that you were using instead of the word God, for example, you weren't allowed to sing. So I would be singing all kinds of Motown, of course. And there's a song, "Betcha by golly, wow, you're the one that I've been waiting for forever." Betcha by golly, wow. They said golly is another word for God. So you really shouldn't be singing that song. I thought, now you people, I needed to check out, because that was not going to work for me. I needed to be able to sing "Betcha by golly, wow." So you discern and you experiment and you find out what feels right and good to you as you move through your life. We continue this exploration. We continue to express. We continue to experiment. And we continue to evolve in our understanding of freedom. And that's taken me to a very interesting place. While I continue to constantly express what's mine to express and to feel this being that came on the planet for a purpose, and I continue to experiment about what feels right in terms of my schedule, the work that I do, the things that feel right and good, and I follow along with my intuition, spirit, I also have begun to engage at a different level. I believe, and I am knowing now, that there is something beyond our freedom. There's something beyond the desire, the longing for being, having, doing certain things, and to call that freedom. And in the past, I would have defined my freedom as I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. And I was satisfied with that. And I would be satisfied with it in terms of seeing prosperity flowing and saying, if prosperity is flowing, I can have what I want, do what I want, be what I want, whenever I want, and that's the way. Now, it wasn't in a way just about pleasure, for example. I also was in service. I've been in service my entire life. I love to give of myself, and that was part of my freedom, but I was still doing what it was I wanted to do and being where I wanted to be. And that included a lot of travel. Keith mentioned that Jane and I are heading out for a road trip, which we are. We are heading out in a minivan, not a minivan, I guess it's a camper van, a very fancy camper van. It's a Mercedes something or the other, but it is something that allows us to shelter in motion, I'm calling it. So we can have a little freedom to move from where we are, staying in our own bubble, only stopping for gas because we have a kitchen, bathroom, bedroom in this camper van. And so this part of us that's adventurous came from this idea of being free and saying, we love to check things out. Now, we've been to India before we've been to Indiana, but that's just the way we'd like to explore around the world. And so this opportunity right now, this what looks like constraint, is allowing us and sort of turning us toward checking out our freedom on the road. So we are doing that. We're experimenting. We've never done a cross-country trip before. So this is an experiment to see if this freedom is one that fits for us. So that always continues, as it would for you. In your life, you'll continue to express that one that was born into a specific and profound and beautiful way that you are. You'll continue to explore and find out what makes sense for you, what interests you, what calls you. You'll continue to experiment. But what about this idea that there is actually, it seems like a strange thing to say, even when I said it to myself the first time when Spirit dropped it into my head. You're not free in one way. There's one thing you are not free to do. You cannot separate yourself from God, from Spirit, from love. This is where your freedom ends and the beauty and transcendent life begins. I had to think about that a little while. I had to lean into it and see how I felt about the idea of, wait a minute, a limit to my freedom? I can be, do, have anything. I can express in any way I want. I can experiment in all kinds of ways. Yes, and you cannot be separate. You cannot be separate. I think it's Corinthians where nothing can separate you from the love of God. Nothing, not principalities or kings, nothing. And in John, in the Bible, Jesus is said to have said, I am the vine, you are the branches, and he who abideth in me shall bear much fruit. Without me, ye can do nothing. And we know what he meant there was without spirit, without being in spirit, without being engaged in spirit, and a recognition and a realization that we are that which breathes us. We are the thing itself. We are not free to become something other than God and love and peace. We are free to express something different, but our beingness is held in the wholeness and divinity out of which everything comes. I am beginning to celebrate in myself that I am free in so many ways, and I can express myself and explore and engage in spirit in so many ways. Yet I am so grateful that I cannot separate myself from love, from peace, from beauty, from power, from joy. It is what I'm made of. It is what you are made of. I love this realization of true freedom. And I begin to live from it in many different ways. One of the ways is speaking with you and sharing from spirit and knowing that the infinite intelligence operates as me and gives me the words to give to you. They come through me, but they're not mine. This idea of freedom and at the same time being unable to be separated is a beautiful feeling of humanity and spirit. We talk about it by saying often in this teaching, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That human experience is where we express and we explore and we experiment. But the spiritual being at all times is engaged in, as, and through spirit. In one way, we have tremendous freedom. In another way, we are held and we are safe and we are whole, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can change the changeless. Let our freedom be that. Thank you.
My beloved and dear sister, thank you so much. I
Welcome.
love that context of we're free with the exception of being liberated from the divine within. It gives us the opportunity to really see life from a new lens and to see who we are. So thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your heart. Sorry that I'm turning like that. I'm looking to the computer screen on my left where I can see your face. So I'm looking at you over here. I'm not turning away from you. But know that I love you dearly, and thank you for sharing your perspective. And to know that we appreciate you here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. You're getting great remarks in the chat section, and you know, your wisdom is deep and profound, and thank you for that. So know that I love you, and I'll invite you back on to guide us through a meditation at the end, if that's good for you.
Yes.
All right, good. So thank you, Reverend Christie. So let's all just take a deep breath in together and let what Reverend Christie shared with us sink in. And exhale. And I know for you, as it's true for me, that it resonates with us in that deep place that we are, that we're inseparable to and from. So our beloved Andy is going to sing another song for us to continue this energy field that we're in of love and connection and oneness. Welcome back, Andy.
Good to be back. We're
Good.
dealing with a little internet fuzziness, so I might break out somewhere, you never know. But
well, if you break out, break dance, baby. Make it happen. All right.
And since it's here, I'd like to invite everybody to sing along. I'd like you to all shower with me on the chorus of this lovely song, Shower the People. Well, you can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it isn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with a broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool, when one thing can lead to another? It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna turn out fine if they only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Well, you can run, but you cannot hide. This is why we know. And what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. Think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. So come on, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna get much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna turn out fine if you only will. Come on, sing along with me. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna turn out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
And the internet supported you. So it was quite wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So right now we move in the time for conscious giving. It's a time for us all to support our community financially as we navigate these times and all times as well. So if you will look on your screen, this will give you the opportunities and the methods for being a conscious giver. And of course that just went nowhere. Let's go here. And to know that all that you give is deeply appreciated and welcomed. And so you'll look on the screen right now, and your options to do so are to go to CSL-LA.org and click on donate. Or you can go to the app in the App Store, which is Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up and you can hit the donate tab there, as well as you can put a check in the mail to our address at 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, or call me privately and we can handle it there. And please know that all that you use as financial support is deeply appreciated and honored and put to great use. Not only does it support us as we continue to do business in this most unique time in the world today, but also we're a tithing community, and 10% of every dollar and dime that comes into our community goes back out to make a difference on this planet. And so you're a conscious participant in that. As you prepare to give, as I do the same, Yaron will take us through our conscious giving song. And so I invite Yaron to do that right here and now. Yaron?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here, right now.
And so I affirm for each of us that we stand in the flow of good, that we consciously participate in the law of circulation, that we have awakened today to a new understanding of being free in regards to how we give and receive life itself. And we honor that power within us that we are not free from, and allow it to enhance our life. We consciously know that its nature is one of prosperity and abundance, and so we lean into that as ours, knowing that one cannot give with a clenched fist. And so today we opened our hand, our mind, our heart to participate in the conscious evolution of abundance in our lives, trusting and knowing that love indeed is our decision. And we let it be as we say together, and so it is. And so an update of what's going on here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. I want to start out with a big thank you to our guest musician today, Andy Belling, Yaron Spiwak, Travis Smith for his guidance through audio tech field and the myriad of landmines that exist relative to the internet. And of course, a huge thank you to Rob Hensley, who is supporting us through Facebook Live and works as an administrative assistant and a tech assistant in the office. So a big thank you to all of you. I want you to know that we have practitioners here at the Center for Spiritual Living that are here to support you during these times. I can speak for myself. As I said earlier, it's been a very unique week, not only just with being present during the passing of one of our beloveds, Dr. Neil, but just dealing with what's going on in today's world of the stay at home and going out and the emotions of not being with friends and touching people and all of that stuff that goes with where we are in today's world. And I know others in our community is feeling the same way. So please avail yourself of the use of one of our practitioners. You can find their information at our website, which is csl-la.org, and you can find that information to connect with them, as well as that information is on our weekly e-newsletter that goes out every Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Please watch for those as they come out. And if you have any questions regarding any of that, you can reach out to me by means of email or through the telephone or text, as well as please feel free to follow us on our social media sites, Facebook, and also on Instagram. Wanted to let you know that many of you have requested classes. The first class that will take place is one that Dr. Jim Lockhart is teaching. It starts this Tuesday morning. It's on a hero's journey. It's Tuesday and Thursday of this week and Tuesday and Thursday of next week. Dr. Jim has been a guest speaker here, so many of you are familiar with him. I think it'll be a great class for us all to get back on course with taking classes and finding our spiritual awakening in a new way. Personally, I'm taking it, and I think that will be a really good thing for us, as well as I was in a meeting this week with other ministers in the area, and we're looking at a way to teach some classes that's pretty broad-based, not just for our own individual community, but others as well. So know that that is underway. A huge thank you to our beloved Christie Hardwick, Reverend Christie Hardwick, who just inspired us this morning with her wisdom, and I'm going to invite her to come back on to take us out in meditation. And as Reverend Christie is doing that, I'd like to remind each and every one of you that are joining us through Zoom that after the service ends, I will guide us through disconnecting on Facebook, and then we can turn our cameras on and audio and connect. And please wait for me to guide you through that process. For those of you that are on Facebook, a huge thank you for joining us today. I invite you to do that each and every Sunday if you're available to do that, as well as you can find all of our archived messages on our YouTube page and YouTube channel. So all of that information can be found on our website. Reverend Christie, thank you so much for being here today, and I'm going to hand it back over to you to take us out through meditation and prayer.
Thank you so much. I wanted to start with a short piece I wrote yesterday morning on John Lewis as we begin to commune together in the unity of all people. I had my whole day planned in an ordinary way. First this, then that, the simple comfort of fresh coffee, a fresh page, the air new. The morning broke into a million tiny pieces when I read the words. He passed. Oh no, not him. Who will lead good trouble now? He once crossed the bridge where a boot met his face, a bridge they now want to name for him. I crossed that bridge too. He was with me then. He is with me now. Thank God we cannot be separated. He is gone, and he is with me, as is every person that has ever moved, lived, and had their being in our lives and on this planet. So at this moment, we give great gratitude for this body that we're in, and I ask you to notice from your toes to the tips of your fingertips, the aliveness that's in you, the breath that is breathing you. And know that this breath is breathing the entire planet and the entire universe and beyond. Breathing in right here and right now in this perfect and precious moment, never to be repeated. All is well. In our hearts, we can heal anything and everything. And we give to that which created all, anything unlike the beautiful. And it is transformed through our love. Right here, right now, I know there's only one of us, And that one is God, living, breathing, and having its being in each one of us. Through this knowing, I am connected at all times with each of you forever, always, and in a perfect love. I'm so grateful. We are so blessed. And this is so, and so it is. Thank you.
And so it is. Oh, amen. Thank you. Thank you. Safe travels on your journey. I look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing photographs of it, knowing you're going to be so glamorous in that Mercedes Sprinter, I believe is what it is. So
That's the one.
great. Thank you. And for
Thank
those of you that have joined us via Facebook, we're going to disconnect now. I want you to know that you're honored and you're celebrated and you're loved wherever you are on your physical journey of finding your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Know that you are indeed the expression of the only thing there is. You can't separate from that, we learned today. You may not be freed from that, but yet because we're contemplative conscious beings, we have the ability to be free to use our mind to evolve into a greater expression of ourselves. And I know that is happening for you, it's happening for me, it's happening for all of us. Thank you and have a great Sunday.